Welcome, guys. Welcome. This is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while. So, let me talk about it today. And this has to do with the fact that, African men, the youths of Africa are actually, getting recruited by Russia to go and fight the Russia-Ukraine war, and they, dangling all of these incentives in front of their eyes, and our brothers are falling for this. So I'm going to talk about this topic today. I think, wherever you are as an African, this should concern all of us, right? Because this goes to everything we've been saying about, this generation of African youth, because they believe they have to run away from their countries, and that is the only way they can make a survival for themselves or take care of their families. And so whatever opportunity comes their way, they think they have to capitalize on those opportunities. I think that is what I want to talk about. So what you see on my screen here, that says Sierra Leone's labor minister in Russia for key talks on youth employment. So, and like I said, I want to I've been meaning to talk about this, but you would think that with the advent of social media, that this African, generation, this current youth of Africa, you would think that they would, they're having all the information, access to the information that they need for them not to fall victim anymore. So honestly, I'm looking at it like, is internet a blessing or a curse? Because with everything the white people are giving us, because again, Africans, we didn't create anything, internet, none of that stuff, right? We might have had some back in the day, inventors and stuff like that, but as far as everything is concerned right now, we control nothing. Let me just put it that way. We don't control the internet, nothing. If they take WhatsApp away today, we're done for a lot of Africans, right? Because that is like the main mode of communication for a lot of our people in the villages and towns, and that's how they can reach their family members thousands of miles away. But I want to share this because it's really nice for you to see this, and the reason why I'm actually sharing this with you, and I wanted you guys to see that, is because it brings me to you know um, the topic that I really want to talk about. And I came across this video, and I think it's important for us to talk about this, where some of the guys that were deceived to go to the front lines to fight for Russia, there was a Sierra Leonean amongst them, and I think is going to be a true replica for representing the rest of Africa. So it's not just Sierra Leone. We know from Kenya, South Africa, all of these countries, right? Nigeria. I don't know about Ghana, but who knows, right? These guys were told that they're going to be paid $13,000 in recruitment bonus. They'll be paid $3,000 a month. So oh man, this is my opportunity. Let's go. They'll be given citizenship of Russia, all of that. But let's listen to this real quick, because this is an example of what I'm talking about.
Egypt is there, some Syrian.
The place where we stay, I saw two Egyptian, one Jordan, one Iraqi. Yeah, one Iraqi. And some of the other guys are saying Kazakhstan. I don't know where they're from.
Do you want to be exchanged to Russia?
If this is the only chance, I will do it. If I'm going back to Russia, because of my family. Because I want to give them money, give them good education, good life. After that, I will search for another solution for myself. But if I'm going from here to Somalia, I'm going back again to zero.
Did you see any other foreigners?
So, of course, this is how desperate our African brothers and sisters are, right? And I want to share that with you, particularly so you can hear from the guy from Sierra Leone, and at least you can have an idea of what we actually are talking about. But this is the situation that we have across Africa. And our African brothers, you would think that they are learning, from all the experiences of other Africans. We saw what happened, like even just as when they were trying to go through the Sahara Desert, how they were captured in Libya, some of the things that they did to them, right? You would think those experiences that would shape you know the living experiences of our brothers and sisters to say that let us not fall for this. Again, it goes back to the African politicians, and that's why I showed you the photo from Sierra Leone, because I want you all to see that these people, the politicians in Africa, of course, because they've not created the employment opportunities for brothers and sisters, they're the ones that are actually auctioning them off to countries like the Russia to go and fight this war, because they are better off just going away, and they become less of a problem if they're not in their various countries. Now they are somewhere else. If they survive, they survive. If they make it, they make it. So that's why I showed you the photo of the government of Sierra Leone going to Russia on a trip, to promote youth empowerment. And I guarantee you, the whole modus operandi is to recruit Sierra Leonean. And if that's not actually going on right now in Sierra Leone, we'll see the fruits of that in a few months. Of course, we'll have all the updates and stuff for us to know exactly what happened. But we know along the lines, these are like slave traders. Those guys that you see in that photos, they're like the slave traders. This goes way, way back, to donkey years, for things that has been happening, in Africa, how the people of Africa actually sold themselves, sold their brothers and sisters, and that is what we're seeing today. That is the reality of what we actually, have going on. And that is why I want to share these with you so you guys can listen to these stories and beware and understand that this can happen to you too. It can happen to you. So let's watch this together real quick.
A Russian speaker hurls racist insults at the man, saying he is being used as a can opener to breach an enemy bunker.
I didn't see it. It is so traumatizing. Francis is my son.
For those of you in Africa, in Nigeria, that want to come and join the Russian army, it's very, very easy and very good. No stress.
This Ghanaian man posts dance videos and brags about how much money he makes.
My salary go feed your father, go feed your mother, go feed your family for like 2 years, 3 years. My salary.
They offer Africans sign-on bonuses of $13,000, salaries up to $3,500 a month, and Russian citizenship after a year.
They are lying to people. The money that they tell people they pay, that is not true.
To a new CNN investigation, rosy promises are being made to African men to lure them into fighting for Russia. Several African governments are acknowledging the scale of this growing problem. This includes Botswana, Uganda, South Africa, and Kenya. Larry Madowo got rare access to the story. He joins us live now from Nairobi, Kenya. So a lot of these men are being essentially promised that they're going to get civilian jobs, that they're going to be paid super high wages, but instead they're being duped to go and fight in Ukraine on behalf of Russia. Larry, what more do we know here?
Zain, I've been speaking to more than a dozen African men fighting for Russia in Ukraine right now, and they tell harrowing tales. Nearly every African I've spoken to currently fighting for Russia tells me they're desperate to leave because they have met conditions that are inhumane, sometimes racism from their Russian commanders. They are being sent to the front lines with little to no training, and they're getting killed in large numbers by drones, by missiles. Every single day is danger. And if they survive that, some Russian commanders call them used condoms and other unsavory names in the middle of this war. A lot of these African men were desperate for jobs, and they were promised civilian jobs such as cleaners or drivers or security guards. But they say when they got to Russia, they were forced into the military. They signed contracts in Russian they didn't understand with no translation or lawyers present, and they were quickly pushed to the front lines. And in some cases, when many of their colleagues die, they've seen their bodies rot on the front lines for weeks, sometimes even months. And even when they complete their service, many of them have not been allowed to leave. I want to warn you here that the story begins with a horrific video.
What is your name?
Francis.
This disturbing video appears to show an African recruit in the Russian army with a landmine strapped to his chest. He is being ordered to storm Ukrainian positions on the front lines. A Russian speaker hurls racist insults at the man, saying he is being used as a can opener to breach an enemy bunker.
I didn't see it. It is so traumatizing. Francis is my son.
CNN traced the man's mother to Kenya. She hasn't been able to reach her son since October 2025, but she recently received another video of him from an unknown Kenyan number.
Be careful, you guys, because people are being taken there, and you end up being taken to the military. And you are taken in frontline battle, and there is true killings.
Francis is a trained electrical engineer who was promised a civilian job in Russia, but his family says he was forced into the Russian army and to the front lines in Ukraine. How long was the training?
So imagine the mother of Francis having to see that. So I want to share this with my Sierra Leonean brothers and sisters, because I know a lot of Sierra Leoneans are going to fall victim to this. Because again, you know, the shiny thing, right? It's the easiest thing. Just like we've seen, you know, videos of I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I saw this parliamentarian in Kenya talk about this video. So I said, okay, let me look into this a little bit. So let's watch this together, you know, and so that you can see what I'm talking about. But apparently, a Russian guy went to Ghana and Kenya, and I mean, there's no excuse for these women, regardless of their status in society or whatever the case is. But some of the, you know, the level of foolishness of these women, it's it was you know, it was just totally appalling. But let's see. Let me put this on the screen here,
and we understand
so
the
we
need
can
and the
watch
desire for
this
them to
together.
improve their livelihoods through looking for jobs. But Mr.
Listen to this.
I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the majority leader for the report he has tabled. Indeed, it is very clear, Mr. Speaker, that our people are really vulnerable, and we understand the need and the desire for them to improve their livelihoods through looking for jobs. But Mr. Speaker, a week ago we saw the same kind of exploitation. Today, the majority leader is telling us about labor exploitation. A week ago, Mr. Speaker, we witnessed sexual exploitation of women by a Russian character. And it is very, very embarrassing that, Mr. Speaker, as we speak right now, those women can hardly walk with pride and dignity as women in Kenya, because their images are all over social media in Kenya. Mothers, our sisters, our daughters, being exposed by a character who is purportedly coming to exploit women sexually. Mr. Speaker, this thing...
You know, guys, so when I saw this, I'm putting all of this together. Our women are being exploited. The men are being exploited across Africa. Man, it's just every African leader should bow in shame and disgrace. You see, because again, we have a responsibility. You cannot control people how they want to move and how they want to go about, you know, doing what they do. But I think, you know, education, information is pretty important, and it's key. And that is why I shared with you guys, you know, the photo of Sierra Leone, a delegation from Sierra Leone. So let me put this again on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But these are guys from Sierra Leone. This was reported by Truth Media. Going to Russia. What was the caption? Sierra Leone's labor minister in Russia for key talks on youth employment. This is how they lure. If you've listened to everything that I've given you, the report from our brother, you know, you'll see that from Larry Maduo, you'll see that that's how they promise our brothers that they're going to Russia to go and work. Regular kind of work. But once they get there, they send them to the war front. So I saw this from Truth Media saying the Minister of Labor in Sierra Leone is going to Russia to talk about youth empowerment. I guarantee you that was what they went there to talk about. To lure our unsuspecting brothers, because they've promised them an opportunity, because Sierra Leone is so bad, things are so rough, no hope for the young, no hope for the youth, and they believe that the only way they can survive is to leave. And I say this again, African youth, until you start thinking about that revolution, I don't think your lives are going to change. And this is what something, you know, our brother from, you know, Nigeria has been talking about, Mr. Dele Farotimi. This is something he has been talking about over the past few, you know, he's been doing some interviews that I think, let me share with you those one of those segments, so you can listen for yourself what he's been talking about, this current present, you know, generation of African youth. Because they feel like they have to run away to go and seek greener pasture elsewhere for them to make a living for themselves, instead of challenging these leaders. Matter of fact, some of them and some of these ones that become victims are the enablers of these oppressors that are actually oppressing them in Africa. They are the ones that are supporting these political leaders across tribal and ethnic lines or religious lines at some point. These are the same enablers, enabling their oppressors to oppress them, to take opportunities away from them. And they are the ones that are actually falling victims to these, crimes, where their own people are the ones that are selling them to these countries overseas. Let's see this real quick. Let's watch this
Glasses
again.
in relation to my country. I see Nigeria in its ugly nudity at any point in time.
Ugly nudity?
Oh, very ugly country.
Your
very,
country?
Oh, very, very ugly country.
Are you ugly?
Unfortunately, every Nigerian is rendered ugly by his circumstances unless we continue to lie to ourselves. I spent 3 weeks in prison. I had no business being there. And I saw multiple persons who had no business in that prison either.
So this is what is actually happening. So this is a landed brother Dele Farotimi, who gave an interview, and he's talking about the African youth. They are looking for, a knight in shining armor. They are looking for a Messiah, and he's saying, that is not going to happen. Let's listen to this.
Or revolution is in front of us.
In front?
He is right there in front. We're almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there. The last opportunity for a peaceful transition was in 2023 and is already lost. That's just the truth. The last opportunity for a peaceful transition of power was in 2023. It's lost.
But there was a peaceful transition
in
of power.
No, that was what you saw was an hijack of power. The constitution was suspended in order to install the person in office today.
How do you mean?
So this is what is actually happening across Africa. What is happening in Nigeria is what happened in Sierra Leone. Elections are being rigged. They don't announce the results. They cannot produce evidence to show how somebody is still occupying power because, these guys are all corrupt to the core. So what happens is there is a dilapidation in democratic systems across Africa for most African countries, with maybe the exception of Botswana at this particular point in time. But even Botswanans fell for this Russian thing, sadly though. But this is what is actually happening. And so I'm looking at all of this evidence is put in front of us. And I'm wondering, again, it goes back to the video that I just showed you about the Kenyan parliamentarian. And then I said, who is this guy that these people are talking about? And then I came across these videos of this Russian guy exploiting women, in Kenya and Ghana, apparently. And no excuses for these women because a lot of these girls are just foolish. They're filled with inferiority complex because they see a white guy. Now they think that this white guy is going to come here and save them. And they think that, some of them, a lot of them, almost all of them have relationships, but they'll tell you that they are single. I don't know. I think they have to be married for them to consider themselves, as someone who is in a relationship and stuff like that. But these guys, these women, married women for that matter, we're falling for this Russian guy. It is so sad. When you see, stuff like that, it is very terrible. And we all saw that. So let me play this video of this one woman, a married woman, have kids. And she fell for this Russian guy this is foolishness. This is not poverty. This is not a woman who's looking for believing that, a white man is going to come, save her, from a poverty in Kenya. But these are some of the videos that I saw. So the men are being exploited. The women are being exploited. Check this out.
What's up?
So what you're watching here is a woman who is actually, picking up her kids from school. Let me start it from the top so you can see what I'm saying.
What's your name?
See her kids?
You live here? I live here today. Where are you going? Back home. I would like to see you in the evening. What's up?
You see? The same day, inferiority complex, because it's a white guy, they are foolish, they have no morality, they have no virtues as a woman. Because how can a mother, there's no excuse you can give to say you're not happy or whatever the case is. There are lots of Kenyan men that could make her a good woman. But she chose to go the same day with that guy. Keep watching. Look at her. Absolute foolishness. Absolute foolishness.
Dadako, innocent.
So this is what actually happened, in Kenya and in Ghana. And the same guy went to a church.
Come with me.
Come with me. And she went with him. When are we going to be free? She went with him to his apartment from church.
Worst of all, tuseme hata mtu.
It's sad. It's sad. Our brothers are there getting exploited. Our sisters are there getting exploited. All because we have useless leaders. And instead of the African people staying home to fight, especially the young people of Africa, to defend their countries. No, but these are the ones that are actually enabling. They are the ones that are actually enabling the foolishness. They're the ones that are supporting politicians. They're the ones that are there defending politicians. When people like myself come out here to speak up on issues affecting their livelihoods, they see tribe. What they see is political party. That is it. That is all they see. And I could play, let me play this for you guys. So I think this video, sums it up pretty well that I shared the other day. Let's watch this together. Let's watch this together.
To all of us every day. Nigeria happens to all of us every day. Is the degree to which we are conscious of what is happening to us that differs from person to person.
Absolutely.
Degree of consciousness.
Yeah, degree of consciousness.
What does that mean?
You have some nebulists in place of citizens. Persons who are sleepwalking through life, perpetually making excuses for their oppressors and ruiners instead of focusing on what is happening to them and how to prevent that from being passed down to the next generation.
Yeah.
They would rather make excuses on behalf of those who are ruining their lives.
Absolutely.
So it's a function of consciousness. If you are unaware of the fact that you are oppressed, you are more receptive to the idea of oppression. But the more aware you become, the more conscious you are, the more you can articulate the condition of the victim. You become a danger to the oppressive system, and you become an irritant to those who have become accepting of oppression.
Right.
So Nigeria happens to all of us every day.
Yeah. That is the reality of what is that is what Brother Dele Faro to me is breaking here. Because again, for example, in Sierra Leone, check my comments on my videos that I'm putting out. I'm not putting my videos out based on partisan lines. No, I'm looking at the issues and analyzing those issues to make sure that we hold our leaders accountable. I'm not coming here to talk about tribe or region or religion, but you have the enablers. They are sleepwalking through life. They are supporting their oppressors, and they end up becoming victims. I'm not going to become a victim. I would never be a victim of any of that kind of stuff anymore in my life. I've passed that point, thank God. But I would never be a victim of where someone can come and tell me that, hey, there's a job over there. They'll pay you $13,000 to sign up, and you'll go to Russia or you'll go to this country to go work there. Thank God I've passed that point in my life. Not even my kids would be faced with a situation like that because I know better. But our brothers and sisters would be exposed to these kinds of situations. Our women are useless, a lot of them. Not all, because you have good women. But we saw how the Russians, are useless in our African brothers, like the videos that I've shared with you guys on the front lines of what, our brother, Larry Madowo of CNN was reporting. Just the way they are useless in our brothers, it's the same way a Russian man or a foreigner or a Lebanese or an Indian or Pakistani or any of these go to Sierra Leone, even Sierra Leone. Our sisters are being abused and used because of poverty is one, but because of poverty, that does not mean you can use that as an excuse to sell your virtue away. But poverty is a factor that we definitely could look at, because that is why a lot of these women just feel like they can give themselves away for chicken change, for nothing, next to nothing. But a lot of them, instead of building with men, they want to live with the Joneses. They want to be seen there with the Joneses, which is what gets them into the trouble that they get themselves into. So they see foreigners, they think that they can sneak around and do things with foreigners and nobody's going to find out. Not knowing that people can record them and share those videos on the web, and somebody would see it one day, and then, of course, some of them end up taking their own lives, or they are, ashamed for the rest of their life. Because now their community knows what they've been up to, the level of foolishness that they've been into. But this is what is actually happening. Go to Sierra Leone right now and see how girls are shipping themselves to men. Not to the Sierra Leone brothers and sisters, but to foreigners. Go see how the Lebanese, the Indians, the Pakistanis, these foreign people, go see how they are abusing and using our sisters like animals, like dogs. Even dogs are better off sometimes, because these people have no respect for themselves. In Sierra Leone, for example, I'm not saying every woman in Sierra Leone, but a lot of the girls in Sierra Leone, they just don't believe in finding another means of making money for themselves. They just believe that the only passport that they could have to make a life for themselves is to be sleeping with men. Having how many partners? These girls, by the time they are 20, 21, if I was in Sierra Leone at this point in my life, there's no way I'm going to marry. No young man in Sierra Leone should be marrying, except if you can really vouch and vouch and vouch, which is virtually impossible to vouch for a 21 or 22-year-old, because these girls are starting to have sexual relations by the age of 15, 16. They have already started. So by the time they're 17, 18, 19, 20, that's 4 or 5 years of their life. Every year, probably they've slept with 15, 20 men. So by the time they get to 21, 22, they've been used up and abused. So for a man to take those, I feel bad for the world, and I feel bad for the generation. And I tell my sons all the time, I'm like, if you guys are going to marry, you better, man, because I don't see myself marrying if I was not yet married. Thank God myself and my wife, I'm not going to say she's an angel, but I can guarantee for the past 25 years, I've never known nothing. I've never heard another man that has ever touched my wife, right? God forbid, because of course, that's something that's a conversation for another day. But this generation, man, young man, I don't know. You have to be really, really, because not even money can save you from the way these girls are living their lives these days. That is a conversation for another day. But I'm just saying, the level of foolishness, the way women cheat themselves, like what I saw with this video of this Russian guy. They said he went to Ghana. Just the same day, these girls would not even, they don't even believe in courtship anymore. Like, at least, back in the days growing up, folks would, at least women were respectable. They would at least not rush to just have sex with a man they met the same day, right? At least they would, give you a little bit of a hard time, play hard to get for a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe a couple of weeks. But now this generation, man, all they're driven by is money. They want to put the next here. They want to buy a bag. They want to buy a purse. They want to buy slippers. They want to buy a sandal. They want to buy clothes. They want to, they have to buy cream, and they don't work. So where do they expect to get the money? It's foolishness. So God knows what is happening in Sierra Leone at this point in time. If only we can protect our girls, which I don't know if they even want to be protected, because these girls are so greedy to themselves that they don't even care anymore about prestige. There's no more virtue or values anymore. So this is not only in Ghana or Kenya. I guarantee you, if that guy from Russia had gone to Sierra Leone, it would have been the same. It would have been the same outcome. Sleeping with these men, these women, the same day. He meets them right there. He said, come with me. He meets her right there. He said, come with me. He meets her at the mall. He said, come with me. He meets her at the bus stop. He said, come with me. They are following them. Why? Why? Because he's white. Why? Because they have inferiority complex. Why? Because they think that, okay, oh man, my problems are over. I finally met a white man. Come on. Why? Because they feel like, oh, I can sneak away. Nobody's going to find out. My husband is not going to know about this. This is a total stranger. Nobody's going to find out. They have no values, no respect for themselves, no decency. A total stranger. I don't know how women think. Somebody you've never met. This is how they kill them. They murder them. They take off their organs. We see it all the time. Who is talking to these people? This is so annoying. So I've been meaning to talk about this You know, how Africans are being taken, you know, to Ukraine to fight, you know, the Russian war, luring them. And again, like I said, I show you guys the photo. If you're just joining me, the photo of the Sierra Leone government. The Sierra Leone government.
These sound harmless, but they
look at it right here. This is a photo of the Sierra Leone Minister of Labor for key talks on youth employment. Sierra Leone's labor minister in Russia for key talks on youth employment. What is the youth employment? It translates to this video here of what Larry Maduo and this young man is talking about, and how they are auctioning them off. They promised them these rosy, you know, bonuses and attractive bonuses to say that you're coming to Russia to work. And then when they get there, they send them to the war front. Our brothers are being abused. This is modern day slavery. But yet these young people, instead of thinking about that revolution, because that's what this boils down to, until they start thinking about that revolution to save themselves from these corrupt and oppressive leaders. But yet they keep coming after people like myself who has nothing to do with their pain and suffering and misery. They're living in communities that are filthy and nasty, stinking and smelling. People like ourselves, we're fortunate to be in this part of the world. We don't have to deal with some of the nastiness and filthiness that these guys are dealing with. They're going up and down. The whole place stinks. You see dog feces over there. You see all kinds of nasty trash being all over the place. No control in the country. But these are the people that are going to come to talk to us when people like myself are coming here to ensure that we teach them and let them understand what's better for them. They are seeing things from a tribal lens, from a political party lens, from a regional, religious lens, from a sectional lens, right? Or just because they think they don't like you. This is the problem we have in Africa. And so when we see stuff like this, which is why, again, I want to, you know, play this video for you all so you guys can see it. And let's continue playing it anyways, because that's what it boils down to. Let me share with you guys this interview. Listen to these guys' experience, because this is the reality of what is actually happening.
True killings.
Francis is a trained electrical engineer who was promised a civilian job in Russia, but his family says he was forced into the Russian army and to the front lines in Ukraine. How long was the training?
3 weeks.
They had only 3 weeks of military training.
Only 3 weeks of military training.
Had he ever been in the police or in the army in Kenya?
No.
Do you know where Francis is?
I don't know where he is. I was told he's in Ukraine, but I don't know specific whether he's there or not.
Francis is among a growing number of African men currently fighting for Russia, though exact figures are unknown. Some Africans in the Russian army glamorize their life on social media, encouraging their countrymen to join.
For those of you in Africa, in Nigeria, that want to come and join the Russian army, it's very, very easy and very good. No stress.
This Ghanaian man posts dance videos and brags about how much money he makes.
My salary go feed your father, go feed your mother, go feed your family for like 2 years, 3 years. My salary.
Where are you now? Can you say where you are? CNN spoke to a dozen African fighters currently on the front lines in Ukraine. They described being forced into a deadly war, racism from Russian commanders, and unpaid salaries. Many say they were made to sign military contracts in Russian without lawyers or translation.
Guys, this is the reality of what is actually happening. And like I said, I've been meaning to talk about this. I'm happy that I saw the Kenyan, parliamentarian talking about it in parliament, talking about how this Russian guy that went and sexually exploited their women. Some of you guys might have seen those videos of that Russian guy on YouTube. There's tons of that video. I don't want to, give it any adoration at this particular point in time. But I'm just saying, our brothers are getting abused, our sisters are getting abused. There is no moral values anymore. There's no virtues. The young people of Africa, instead of standing up to their leaders and challenging them, again, the only way they can save themselves at this point in Africa is a revolution. Without a revolution, there is no way any African is going to be able to, make it. But if you think you can run away from your problems in Africa to go overseas and seek greener pasture, you have it coming, because everywhere is getting just ridiculously crazy. It is ridiculously crazy. Of course, the United States, the doors have been shut. So if you make the attempt to come over here, the moment they get a hold of you, you go into a detention center. Is that what you want to do? But you can be free in your own country if only the young people can come together. Like I see this guy in Nigeria, very dark man, doing a phenomenal work for the Nigerian young people. And I'm happy they are supporting him. They're giving him the support. But Africa needs that revolutionary mindset. If all the young people of Africa can think that way and say, you know what, enough is enough, that is the day they'll get their redemption. And that redemption has to come. But it's on them. It's not for them to run away to go fight for, these shiny promises that they give to them. Like in Sierra Leone now, with this minister traveling, to Russia to go talk about youth employment, empowerment. All we know is they're going to go make these arrangements. These young African or Sierra Leoneans are going to go to, travel to these, to Russia only to find themselves in the war front. But this is Sierra Leone. This is the Minister of Labor. We've seen it before countless times of, these labor folks, luring our brothers and sisters. It started with Lebanon back in the day. That's how they got a lot of our brothers and sisters in Lebanon, Jordan, Oman, all of these. It was from the government, mostly from the government. They are the ones that are supporting those initiatives. Just like we see this guy, currently the Sierra Leone illegal government supporting the same thing. When is this foolishness going to stop? When is it going to end? But instead of these young people focus and say, you know what? Enough is enough. Let us stand up to our leaders in Africa. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And that's really terrible. It's really sad, man. It's really sad. The things you see about what's happening to our brothers and sisters, it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know. It's like, even though with the advent of the internet and, social media, you would think that, things would really change, but no. It's not helping. It's not helping. Anyways, guys, I wanted to do a quick one and talk to you guys about this. Just make sure you share. Thank you for joining me here. We're going to continue to speak on these issues until, one day. That's all it takes, right? One day. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening, okay? All right.